was a time when a meteor flashing through the sky struck man with a deep sense of wonder. Even today, man's reaction to a meteoric display is likely to jam the switchboards with reports of imminent invasion from space. But as heirs to the knowledge, disciplines, and apparatus of the scientific revolution, we are familiar with, and at least partially understand, the meteoric phenomena. A meteoroid, traveling in space outside our atmosphere, remains unseen by man, for the molecules in space are so dispersed that collision with them causes no visible effect. If its trajectory traverses the Earth's atmosphere, it becomes a meteor. Here it begins to collide with more molecules. These collisions become more and more frequent as the meteor descends into the denser air of lower altitudes, causing it to decelerate. Each collision converts some of the energy of motion into heat energy, and the heat continues to increase until the meteor itself becomes incandescent, scribing its visible path through the night sky. Destroyed in the atmosphere by this heating, most meteors present no danger to man. Now and then, one is large enough to survive its passage through the atmosphere to Earth. It is then called a meteorite, and some are very large indeed. Dr. Peter Parameter became interested in meteors early in his career, and once wrote a paper titled,
"A thermokinetic description of bodies in passage through a plastic medium of nonlinear density at random velocities and angles, which could be just about summed up with this equation."
With this equation, his fellow scientists and designers are able to explain the effects of atmospheric penetration on differing bodies, those with different ballistic coefficients, at various velocities and angles. For example, if two bodies of different weights enter the Earth's atmosphere with the same velocity and entry angle, both the heavy body and the light one will begin to heat up at the same time. But impacts of air molecules slow the light body sooner. This deceleration of the light body occurs at higher altitudes, while the heavier, more energetic body penetrates deeper before it reaches peak deceleration. The total amount of heat generated by the lighter one is less than that generated by the heavy one, whose larger mass gives it greater kinetic energy. Two identical bodies with the same velocity entering the atmosphere at different angles also will decelerate at different rates. The steeper angle causes a more rapid encounter with the dense air, resulting in more abrupt deceleration. The total heat generated will be the same for both bodies, but peak heating will be less for the shallow entry. With identical meteors entering at the same angle but with different velocities, the faster meteor, under heavier bombardment by air molecules, will have greater deceleration, generating more heat and at a higher rate. But Dr. Parameter is no longer merely an observer interested in understanding the phenomena of meteors. A meteor is just an aimless traveler in space. Doc finds himself now involved in designs with a purpose and an aim. A missile has a target, and a spacecraft has a destination, a journey's end. To these, Doc applies his knowledge. He knows natural phenomena, both of aimless meteor and aimed missile. He knows that as they traverse the atmosphere, they heat up. If the heating or deceleration of a vehicle is excessive, the mission is threatened. Man cannot change the laws of nature, so he must use his knowledge to work within those laws. Doc Parameter knows that the two natural enemies to successful atmospheric penetration are deceleration and heat. He can fight these enemies on two possible fronts. First, on the design front, by modifying the vehicle's shape and size relative to its weight. In other words, its ballistic coefficient. And second, on the program front, by altering the vehicle's trajectory, its velocity, its attitude, and its angle of entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Parameter is now ready to use his technology to plan a successful re-entry for an ICBM warhead. He knows that of the two natural enemies, deceleration and heat, high deceleration is not a problem with a warhead. but too much heat could destroy it. He first surveys the project on the program front. He knows that the re-entry velocities and angles are essentially set by the mission. But to reduce heat load, the velocity of the re-entry vehicle could theoretically be reduced by firing a retro rocket. On investigation, he finds that in order to decrease re-entry velocities sufficiently by this method, a retro thrust system would be required weighing many times the weight of the warhead. This method is out. He next considers the possibility of changing the re-entry angle. He knows that a shallow angle will lessen the peak heat load by stretching the heating over a longer period of time. But the total heat generated will be the same either way, and the vehicle could absorb even more heat during this longer re-entry. Furthermore, a shallow re-entry angle has other serious drawbacks. First, a shallow angle impairs accuracy by deflection in the atmosphere. Second, it affords more time for enemy interception. A steep re-entry improves the missile's chances of avoiding interception and of reaching its target with minimum atmospheric deflection. In this case, altering the program is not the answer to the heat problem. Dr. Parameter must attack the problem of heat on the design front. Logic would seem to indicate that fast travel requires a streamlined shape to slice its way through the air. At subsonic velocities, this is true, but at supersonic speeds, the moving vehicle displaces air molecules which bounce off, forming a shock wave. As speed increases, the shock wave becomes more severe, and heating increases. An ICBM will have a free-fall re-entry speed in excess of 23,000 feet per second. At this speed, the heat of molecular collision and friction, shearing of air molecules, is concentrated in a narrow zone along the surface of a streamlined vehicle. The heat generated may cause the temperature to exceed 15,000 degrees Fahrenheit. To combat this terrific heat, Dr. Parameter designs instead a re-entry vehicle with a blunt frontal area. The blunt shape creates its shock wave somewhat ahead of the vehicle. This occurs because the atmospheric molecules colliding with its frontal surface bounce back and intercept others coming in, setting up a kind of picket line in advance of the warhead. The peak heat is generated in this area away from the surface of the vehicle. Although the blunt shape decreases the peak heating of the warhead to half that of the streamlined shape, it will still heat up to 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, much too hot for unprotected warhead structures. To further reduce heating, Dr. Parameter must find other techniques in addition to the blunt shape. His first solution is the heat sink. Use the blunt design and add a mass of heat-conducting metal large enough to absorb most of the heat generated during re-entry without melting before impact. It works, but he is not yet satisfied. The weight of the heat sink displaces more than 1/4 of the payload. Furthermore, the blunt design slows the missile, keeping it in the atmosphere a longer time, making it less accurate and easier to intercept. For the greatest accuracy and shortest time in the atmosphere, Doc knows that the streamlined shape is the best, but the heat sink cannot absorb and distribute the sudden extreme heat generated during the re-entry of a streamlined vehicle. Doc reasons,
If the heat cannot be absorbed, why not eject it as fast as it's generated?
the answer is ablation.
Ablation! Coat the frontal surface of the streamlined missile with layers of ablative material composed of fibers, resins, and ceramics.
This ablative coating protects the missile from the extreme heat in several ways. It is a poor heat conductor. Its surface gradually melts away, taking heat with it, and its vapor forms a thin insulating layer, deflecting some of the heat from the surface. The ablative principle combats the heat problem effectively and permits steeper re-entry angles while adding a minimum of weight. The streamlined missile, with its increased speed, affords the least possibility of interception and the greatest accuracy. It does produce a huge deceleration factor approaching 150 Gs. Fortunately, this poses no threat to a warhead. But for manned or other recovery missions, the G-load is a most important factor. For manned re-entry, this force should be held below 10 Gs. A shallow re-entry angle of about 1 to 5 degrees is the simple answer. The shallower the angle, the less the G-load. But this will be sustained over a longer period of time. This means a longer time at high speed through the friction of the atmosphere. Let's take a moment to see why this is not desirable. Dr. Parameter?
Thank you. Gentlemen, we have here a kettle of water. Heathcliff, we can use you in this experiment.
Oh boy, an experiment.
Thank you, sir. Now, if we may have another kettle of water and your stand-in. Thank you. Now we'll proceed with the experiment.
Experiment?
We'll add the same amount of fuel under each kettle, but alter the form of the fuel under one kettle to make it burn faster. We ignite both at the same time and compare the results. Splendid. I'd like to point out that the fast-burning fuel, although reaching its intensity quickly, exhausted itself quickly. The heat absorbed was negligible. The slow-burning fuel, on the other hand, gradually increases in intensity. It will generate the same total heat load, but over a longer period of time, and you'll notice more heat is absorbed. Wow! Thank you, Heathcliff.
Thank you, Dr. Parameter. So although the peak heat generated in the shallow re-entry is less, the capsule is in the heating regime for a longer time, and without the utmost protection would absorb an intolerable amount of heat. For manned re-entry, Dr. Parameter overcomes the deceleration enemy through program with the shallow angle, but he must combat heat on the design front. A blunt shape to cause a detached shock wave, a picket line against heat, and ablative materials for additional heat control. The doc is confident his new design will fulfill the requirements. Now to try it out. He wants low peak deceleration, so the shallow re-entry path is mandatory. This brings him down safely, if a little off target. To achieve some control and accuracy as well as safety, Dr. Parameter has been working on other design concepts, particularly shapes that produce lift. He knows that a ballistic missile is designed and programmed to hit a particular point on the Earth's surface. A manned ballistic vehicle with the same objective is much less accurate due to its design and long, shallow penetration. But a lifting vehicle, which is capable of descending at a still more shallow angle and with an extremely low deceleration rate, is able to change direction. This control gives it wide selectivity of landing sites within a large footprint area. For the shortest range within the footprint, the vehicle is pulled up into a maximum lift attitude at re-entry. This induces maximum drag, causing a steeper, more abrupt descent. For the longest possible range, the vehicle must assume the attitude of maximum lift-over-drag ratio. This footprint, huge at first, shrinks gradually as the vehicle descends. Dr. Parameter, while considering the advantages of lifting vehicles, is also aware of their drawbacks. First, the lifting structure itself imposes weight penalties, which compete with the all-important matter of payload. Then, lifting vehicles may also spend up to 20 minutes in the heat regime, and being more streamlined, they require a still more complex heat protection system, competing still further with payload. Dr. Parameter, with his associates, has studied the strategy of atmospheric penetration. He knows its natural enemies, deceleration and heat, and has met them on the two fronts of program and design. He has accomplished important objectives. For the intercontinental ballistic missile, the objectives are rapid atmospheric penetration and accuracy. The warhead's natural enemy is sudden, intense heat. Its program? High velocity, steep re-entry. Its design, streamlined with ablation to combat sudden heat. For a manned or other recovery mission, the objectives are, first of all, safety, and then control. The mission's natural enemies: high deceleration, sustained heat. Its program: shallow re-entry for low deceleration. The vehicle's design: blunt, yet with control capabilities, a maneuverable lifting shape. The resulting long duration within the heat regime exacts a weight penalty because a complex heat protection system is needed. There will always be problems to solve. Dr. Parameter has worked out successful compromises so far, but he is still puzzling, still exploring. He plots his graphs, his curves, and flings them boldly into space. But he knows that we have barely gotten our little toe into space, and he constantly seeks to improve that toehold. He must hold to the possible, yet he constantly works along its impossible edges. He has opened the way for man's safe re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Journey's end for space travel.
All right, atmospheric penetration, pretty cool, huh? Hopefully you learn. I've played that 2 days in a row now, but that video teaches you so much. That video will teach you so much about re-entry. I've learned a ton, actually, from that. The thermokinetic displacement through a plastic nonlinear body at very random velocities and angles, which can be summed up by this formula here. Yeah, it's a great thing. I love the old training videos. They're really good at teaching people. I don't know why. Like, you can watch that and learn a ton about reentry, and that'll apply for KSP as well. Like, that principle applies to KSP. I don't know why the old training videos are so used. Like, just the way they explain it, it's so much better than any educational videos that I watched, like on the overhead projector or on the big CRT TV with the VCR being wheeled in. You got a substitute teacher today. Who knows what I'm talking about? Do they still have those? Anybody here in high school? What happens when they when you have to watch a video and stuff? What do you do? Do they still wheel a TV in, or do you have like a projector or something? I would guess it's a projector in like a modern classroom, but that wasn't always the case. Smart boards and projectors. What's a smart board? Chromebooks are smart books. They still have some overhead projectors at your community college. Projector. Fixed TVs in the classroom? Flat screen smart board. Huh. Hey, D-Man, how are you? Yeah, they rolled that. Dude, here. When I was younger, you wanted to watch something, you want to watch TV in the classroom, they rolled in one of these bad boys here. One of these bad boys. Just like that. That's if you wanted to watch video or whatever, you had to do it on a VHF tape and you roll that sucker in. That TV freaking weighs as much as an engine block. You remember that? With the ratchet strap over the top. That one doesn't have a ratchet strap though. But that's how we watch videos, man. That's cool, man. I like that. That TV is heavy, man. Those cathode rays, like a 40-inch CRT TV, dude. If you had something like that when I was growing up, you were pretty good. You're doing pretty good. It seems a bit unsafe. I never had a problem with it. Oh, dude, or even one with the built-in VCR. I remember those. Yeah, but that right there, just TV cart. Oh man, that's old. What the hell? You see, that just looks wrong. That just looks wrong, man. What the frick is this? Like what the? No, that's terrible. What that looked? What? What are you nuts? Man, as a teacher, I'd still have that in the classroom. I'd still have the CRT TV, just so people can be like, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "Don't worry about it. That looks wrong." Search smartboard. Smartboard. Wait, what the frick is this? The pull-down projectors, yeah. What? It's a giant touchscreen? What's that, FX? Oh, yeah, nice. Smartboards are touchscreen projectors. Huh.
What makes the smartboard easy to use?
Whoa.
That's simple. It has 3 unique features that help teachers deliver inspiring lessons that engage students in extraordinary ways. Touch recognition.
What the Rocket review, by the way, love you. Oh, okay. You didn't put the you didn't put the heart emoji after it. Pierto, if you weren't just kidding, I was gonna just rename the title of the stream to your Pierto 98 is a doo-doo face and just call it from there. In fact, you know what? I think I'll just do that anyway. User Pierto _98Z is a doo-doo face. There we go. Oh, wait, I put the Z in the wrong spot. Give me 1 second. There we go. Got it. We're good now. Back to watching the smart.
And smart notebook software. What is touch recognition? It's the newest feature in our smartboard interactive whiteboards. With touch
That's cool.
recognition, you can use a pen, a finger.
All right, back to Space and Rocket review. Huh. All right. Yeah, that smartboard is old news. You had that in 2010. Bro, I haven't been in school since 2008, okay? I haven't been in school since 2008, all right? So math checks out. I wouldn't know, though, because I haven't been in school. Oh, yeah, you're a second grade teacher, huh? Yeah, okay. Sure you are. All right. Okay, Vic, before I stopped work at the school and took this cyber gig, I was looking into a projector for the school. I can't read the damn message. So you could draw the projector and save on the laptop. That's cool, man. Neat. Yeah, we had a chalkboard. It's funny because a chalkboard does like the same thing, and it's a piece of chalk and a board. Wait, what did you end in 2008? College? Years ago, around 2010, there was a substitute in my class that thought it was a whiteboard and proceeded to draw on it with a marker. Uh-oh. Wah, wah, wah. I'd like to see a chalkboard play a video. CRT TV can do that, Blue Flare, just fine. The TV cart, bro. TV cart and a chalkboard is all you need to learn. You gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. All right. Here, there is some stuff here that I want to look through. Check this out. Here, peep this one, guys. You might. This isn't necessarily space, but and again, neither was what we were talking about. And they upgraded the chalkboard to the dry erase board. Yeah. Come on up. Even I had whiteboards back in my day. We had whiteboards. It depended on the classroom, though. Some teachers still insisted on chalkboards when I was in high school. You misbehaved. We got the job of banging the erasers together to clean them out. I didn't get that. I didn't have to do that. But anyway, here, check this out. Factorio. I'm not necessarily the biggest Factorio player or a Factorio player at all, but also elevated trains. Oh, elevated trains for Factorio. Uh-oh. That's tempting. That is tempting. In case you missed the first links, yes, I did. Now is when you post. Uh-oh. That looks pretty cool. Nice, Zeppelin. That's funny. Look at that, huh? That's cool, man. We should fix you not playing Factorio. Oh. Have one SPAC? Just one? I don't know. I thought this was really neat. Have one more? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is an update that's coming soon. I'm sorry, this is just eye candy. We built something like this in City Skylines, dude. It looked exactly like that. Just manifolds. I don't hate it. That's really cool. Damn, dude. I'm sorry, this Factorio is just one of those things where you kind of just sit back and watch the gears turn, so to speak, and you're like, huh. Well, that's pretty neat. I love how the game still looks like a game from 1996. It reminds me of StarCraft so much. You want a piece of me, boy? Posted some photos of my smartboard for reference. The new ones are pretty crazy. Oh, cool. Neat. That Roadworthy Rescues is coming out soon, Miller. You want a piece of me, boy? Jacked up, good to go. Rock and roll. Well, anyway. All right. I'm going to transfer the rest of the Space News links over here. What is this? So we got RFA stuff. No launches tonight. Unfortunately, the next one is a Starlink on early Saturday morning, 2:19 a.m. on Saturday. So, you know, that's freaking good. I am going to just post up all the links here. Tesla bot. There's a thing on human landing system. The PDF. There's a PDF from about HLS that was from the IAC. Okay. I call that Friday. Yeah. Greg, thanks for the raid. Don't worry about it, man. It's all good. Hey, did you know that they did a helicopter on Mars? Look, they did a helicopter on Mars. Greg, I don't know if you knew that. Is your mind blown right now? Are you just sitting there going... Oh yeah, there was the SpaceX Rule 8 meeting today. That's right. That's right. That's right. Picking up the brain fragments back into the yeah. Oh boy. This is a little spicy. You weren't driving a Lincoln by any chance, were you? No, screw dirigibles on Mars. They did a helicopter on Mars. Look. So, Ingenuity completed its 60-second flight, setting a new ground speed record of 22 miles an hour for 121 seconds. Ingenuity is still doing helicopter on Mars. That's pretty rad, man. That is pretty rad. Okay, so what is this next one? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was only supposed to fly for a week or two. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to go very far, but yeah, they're still doing helicopter on Mars. So this is a picture inside a Sierra Space's Shooting Star cargo module, from what I can tell. Features panels designed to secure cargo. Yep. Pins are removed from the panels, allowing them to swing open so crew members can store cargo on both sides. Oh, so those are all cargo doors. All right, I got you. You can open it all up. Cool. Look at the inside of Shooting Star. So Shooting Star is the back piece. It's this kind of like quote-unquote service module for Dream Chaser. There's a picture of them. 1 and 2. And it kind of serves as the payload attachment fitting for Dream Chaser. Oh, hello. But also the, also it's like a service module that allows Dream Chaser to stay up on orbit for a long period of time. Shane is trying to see if we can find a render of it. There we go. See? It's the interior of that cone piece right there. You could put 1,000 bananas in there. The kid is back on the escalator again. Leave it alone. So, Shooting Star can carry external payloads, and it can also be grabbed from the ISS's remote manipulator system. Crazy thing about Shooting Stars is that they can actually stay up in space by themselves. It's the service module. Dream Chaser jettisons it, comes back down, and that thing can stay up there. And get this, another Dream Chaser could dock to it if needed, which is actually pretty freaking cool. And this shows that the thing has a very high degree of development, because look at that. That looks pretty close to space spec. It's missing some pieces here and there, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty freaking cool, man. Dream Chaser and Shooting Star are... So the first Dream Chaser, Tenacity, those are models of it. Those are wind tunnel models of it. The first Dream Chaser, Tenacity, and the Shooting Star module are set to launch pretty much sometime in the beginning of next year. But also, Sierra really does post some excellent pictures of the freaking craft. Oh, man. Spaceship. Little mini space shuttle. Dream Chaser is an uncrewed... Dream Chaser and Shooting Star are an uncrewed resupply vehicle for the ISS, which is really freaking cool, to say the least. It's going to be nice to see something with tiles fly again. I wish they posted more pictures. Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, crew variant is planned, but not anytime in the near future. But yeah, you can see that's where the windshield would be, right there. There's 95% part commonality between the uncrewed version and a crewed version. So this thing is we might see people in it sooner rather than later, which is really freaking cool. Yeah, T-Man, something like that. Yeah, they're installing solar panels onto Shooting Star in that picture. See, that the interior shot that I showed you guys is inside of this thing. It's got a common berthing mechanism, or a CBM, to adapt to the ISS on the back, in a small docking port up front for, basically that's NDS-based, NASA docking system. It's NDS-based for docking Dream Chaser. So Shooting Star to Dream Chaser. It's based off of NASA's docking system, or the International Docking System Standard. You can see the rim of the port right there on the very back, which is freaking cool, man. It's really freaking cool. It's cool to see the shuttle tiles and everything flying again. Or sooner rather than later. Yep. There it is, man. That's cool. That's real cool. Well, they changed the crew version to another design. Are you talking about whatever that 201 thing is that they keep showing? How do we know that that's the crew variant? Damn, dude. There's not really any commonality. It's the crew variant. I don't know how you can be so dang sure about that, Thomas. I've never even seen people from Sierra Space talk about that thing. I'm not sure I think that's right. Also, that thing looks exactly like Dart, and it's kind of weird. Oh, nice, Jeff. That's pretty. My name is Jeff. My name is Jeff. That's awesome, man. Which also means it can serve as an adapter for other vehicles. You want to put another IDSS on it, or yeah, Dragon or Starliner. That's my theory, Aqualex. I asked the guy at SNC about it one time, dude. In my travels, I was like, could Shooting Star be used as like another space station? Or another space station adapter, so you could dock more crew vehicles to it? And he did something like this. I mean, yeah. And I'm like, that was how the frick did he know that? How does this guy know this? Well, I mean, I suppose we could do with it. Yeah, it's fine. I saw the gears turning right there. I'm like, okay. Hey, Soonty, 70 is indeed a number. 70-month resub. Thanks, man. DC-200 is crew. CR keeps saying that. The website for Dream Chaser also mentioned it. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. The crew variant of the other one, that thing had 95% commonality. But yeah, probably not anymore if it looks like that. Anyway, cool. So that's that. What do we got next here? This is from Rocket Factory Augsburg. It really does look like Dart. 3 German new space companies launch EVA, the world's first end-to-end microgravity service for biotech research and product development. And app development. End-to-end microgravity experiments. Cool. Well, that's neat. That's pretty cool. Microgravity research. I'm reading about it. Give me 1 second. Three new space experts, 1 microgravity science taxi, which will be integrated into the Phoenix capsule by Atmos Space with its groundbreaking life science incubator and bioreactor solutions. Yuri will be responsible for the execution of biotechnical research and manufacturing. Cool. All right. What rocket are these going on? Particularly these two. That honestly, that just looks like an ISS rack. But, you know, cool. Very neat. Very neat. Very neat. And now here's a quick break in the space news. Why doesn't it have sound? There we go. Yeah.
We don't have one.
Yeah. There you go.
We still don't have one.
There we go. Now it's working. Gator. Maybach.
Gator. Gator.
Now, which one do you want?
Gator.
I'm taking the Gator. Okay. Yeah?
We don't have one.
Yep. See? There you go. That was your quick space news break. Anyway, please tell me you saw Whistling destroy the G63. I was impressed, Sawyer. I've seen it. I was impressed the savage beating that truck took before it actually broke. I was pretty impressed. That thing got the trash beaten out of it. And yeah, it's a pretty durable vehicle. It's a shame that they're all pavement princesses. That you could beat the snot out of those G-Wagons and it just keep going. That's pretty cool. The off-right one was the combined vehicle. The frames right were progressively zoomed in. Ah, it looked like a wreck because it was. Oh, that's good. Good to know. Gator. Okay. All right, cool. Next bit. What do we got? Rocket Lab is humming now that we've begun the integration and testing phase of our dual escapade spacecraft. The twin spacecraft will be used to study Mars's magnetosphere on a science mission for NASA. Ah. Oh, what do we got here? Let's take a look. That is a spacecraft. Yep, that's a dude with the spacecraft. Ooh, look at the bottles. Very nice. Very nice. Payload attachment. That's a payload attachment jig. Very nice. It's going to be launching on New Glenn. It's going to be launching on New Glenn? Is that the... That's that mission that New Glenn took for that NASA mission. It's basically a small sat mission that New Glenn picked up, right? Right? Two of them, yeah. Yeah. That's right. New Glenn had the... Yeah, exactly. I remember this. I remember this from a second ago. Yeah, they got... Yeah, the Escapade mission. This satellite is tiny, and it's going to launch on the third biggest rocket ever flown. That's pretty good. That makes me laugh. But hey, not in a bad way. It's just small satellite, gigantic freaking rocket. I ain't even mad. But that's cool that we see payload. Hey, if it's for a test flight, Creeper, you're going to make some money back on it. That's not a bad thing. New Glenn is here. All right. If you want to see the rocket that tiny boy, this tiny boy is launching on. See that? Or a couple of those things you said, Thomas? All right. Here, look. Here. How's that? How's that for a size comparison? Look at it compared to the Saturn V. Look at how about it compared to an SLS? It's a freaking gigantic rocket. It's that one right there. They marked it as 3-stage, but they abandoned the 2 and the 3-stage option for the 2-stage. But look, yeah, it's almost as tall as the Saturn V. That thing is launching on... All right. You know it, Hawks. You know it. More space news. Pray, I don't know how often the local photographers catch it. Oh, dude. No, I know. Dude, here, hold on. Hold up a second. Hold up. How's that? Look at that. That was a couple months ago, actually. Look at that fairing. Ooh, City Skylines 2 is out. What? No, it's not. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Don't do that to me, Northern Sky. How dare you? Yeah, look at that thing. That's just the upper stage. Yeah. Ew, pre-ordered. I didn't buy that. I didn't buy it. To be fair, he did it to himself too. No. This is not about being fair, Aqualux. This is an EJocracy, okay? It's about being fair to me, not anybody else. Don't get confused. Don't get confused. Oh, man. Anyway, well, that's cool to see that one of the Escapade, the dual Escapade spacecraft, they're almost ready to go. Dude, I think, Prey, I agree with you. I agree. I think that New Glenn is further along than everybody thinks it is. They are fabricating hardware. We know that. We've seen pictures inside the factory. The first stage fit up article is chilling. First stage fit up article is chilling at the pad ramp. As of the Falcon Heavy launch too. The pad seems pretty legit. The pad's a monstrosity, Prey. I know guys that work on that thing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Google Earth time. Guess what we're doing? We're looking at launch pads, baby. And half the chat just went, oh, I heard the collective sigh. Oh, not again. I mean, this is a righteous amount of infrastructure. And yeah, the test article's sitting right there. They have a small transporter erector on the pad which would be used for stage 2 firing tests. Dude, I still can't believe how big that is. That is a transporter erector that can move a rocket almost as big as Saturn V, which is just okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, right, they're nice trucks. What's the biggest launch pad in the U.S.? I'd say the biggest launch complex? Well, Complex 39 is definitely up there. Complex 39 is gigantic. It's all that. But I would say Site 110 in Baikonur. Site 110 is the Energia Buran testing pads and launch pads. It's big. Big. Very big. So that's the integration building right there. And there's 2 transporter erectors right there. I forget what they called those things. I think they called them grasshoppers or something. So that thing is the cradle. That thing is it's a transporter erector that moves the rocket, and it moves them to the twin pads right there, right? Hey, Jackery, 66 months. When's back? I want to see more pics of the T for research purposes. But there's also a siding right here that goes all the way over here to a test stand, which is also a launch pad. They can launch off this one if they want to. That's the test stand, though. So that between the testing complex, the launch complex, and the integration complex, that's probably the biggest out of all of them. That is a gigantic launch site. It was built for Energia Buran. These were originally the N1 launch pads. Then there's rails that go further west. Well, the double lines. This one right here goes to the integrations and checkout building. It's called the MIK. That's where if you've ever seen those videos of the abandoned Soviet space shuttle, that's the building. But yeah, I'm telling you, it's really cool seeing the double tracks because the grasshoppers move on the double tracks, which is really, really freaking cool. It's a cool piece of infrastructure. It just sucks that it's just sitting there doing nothing. How did the N1 transition from horizontal to vertical? You'll see. The TUA, the transporter erector. That's the thing that I'm talking about. It's that. See that thing right there? That's the N1 being transported on it. You needed 4 locomotives to pull it. Yep. New Glen's transporter erector is almost that big. It's actually about that big, but it's not moved by train. They're using SPMTs from what I understand. And that gigantic freaking thing did that. Yep. We're talking transporter erectors that are on another scale. A scale that we just... Unless you see one of these things. I've never seen one, but I know the scale. Unless you've seen one, it's... Yeah, the TUAs are gigantic, man. They're freaking huge. Yeah, and then they retooled them later to move Buran Energia. Which, yeah, that's freaking cool, man. It's cool seeing that. And then there's Energia Polius right there. That's the test stand pad, by the way. Yeah. Sucks. Oh well. See? Look at that. Look at that. That's cool, man. Like I said, New Glen's transporter is almost that big. It's close. It's close to being that big. Yep. How does the track not derail under load? Lots of wheels. But that's what these dual tracks are. And there's the transporters right there. See them? Talk about a wide railroad gauge. Huh? Look at that. What's the gauge we're talking here for this thing? It's not necessarily the gauge. Those are two broad gauge tracks next to each other, but we'll just, you know, pretend for fun. Right? So it's 21.5 meters. 70 feet. 70 feet wide. Okay. Yep. Pretty large. And then there was two integration hangars right here. This is where they'd build the stack, and then they'd do testing and checkouts over here. And then they could go to the test stand down here, right? And then the launch pads are right here. Which, once again, is frankly just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount of infrastructure here. All the fueling is over here, and then there's the tracks. I'm not sure where those tracks went. Oh, there we go. The tracks were a spur line off of one of the main lines. There you go. What's going on over here? I never looked at that before. I don't know what that is. Another repost of what Thomas shared. Yeah, I know. You guys have posted that 4 times now. It's just a high-res version of New Glenn. I don't understand what you want. There you go. It's great. How hard would it take to bring 110 back into operation? Yeah, that's never happening. Oh, this has the satellite in it. That's why you wanted me to see it. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's the satellite compared to the rocket. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's going to go far. That's Escapade. That's the NASA mission that New Glenn got. I mean, New Glenn's going to be cool, man. They're going to hopefully boost back and land that first stage. Hopefully. Might be lacking some TWR. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's the satellite. This is a little tiny thing. Yep. All right. Anyway, this next one is from Relativity Space here. Relativities, we've been busy. 1 year ago today, before and after. This is down at Stennis. This is the Stennis Space Flight Center. And that's the B1, B2 test stand, A2 and A1 test stands, and then the A3 test stand is over there. Take a look. Relativity is building more test stands for testing, Terran R. It's a twin cell test complex here that they're building up, and they're actually going to build more of them down this kind of curved area, which is pretty rad, man. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big area. Yep, they cleared all the brush and they're doing a burn off over there. Yep. Yeah, see, they started to get the deflector in there. We knew that, though. We saw the deflector. But, yeah. This is all at the Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. Stennis is at basically the southern tip of Mississippi here. I'll show you. See, right here. So, Relativity is working on this big L-shaped area. And I'll be honest with you, I have no idea why this was here. That was pre-existing before Relativity got their hands on it. I have no idea why the terrain was graded like that. and what it's there for. I don't know. It looks like some type of residual drainage or something. I mean, judging by the look of this, it looks like it's for drainage, but I don't know for sure. A retention pond? Yeah, but for what, Dink? That's what I can't figure out. And like I said, clearly it holds water, because if you look at some of these pictures, not that one, the ones with the water tower in it, clearly it was some type of retention pond, and clearly there's a river going through, or a stream going through it. See it right down the center? But I don't know why it's all here. Flood controlling, maybe, for hurricanes? Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Yeah, these are the big boy test stands. 1, 2, and 3. Or, well, technically 1, 2, 3, and then B. That test stand's a monster. That's the one where they tested SLS, and they're retooling it for EUS static fires. The B1 test stand, the B2 test stand is unbelievably huge. This is the cell that was designed to static fire, or full duration, not static fire, it was designed to full duration test fire Saturn V stages. 2 cells, twin cells. So you could put an S1C here and an S1C here, fire that one, refuel and fire that one, which is pretty cool. That one right there was designed for Saturn V second stages. That's the A2. And then over here is the A1, which was originally designed for Saturn V third stages. That's the one that we watched the RS-25 fire off the other day. Yeah, EUS test fires, Erudite. Where did Sierra Space blow up their habitat thing? That was not Stennis. That was Marshall. I can show you. That's in Alabama. That's Huntsville. That's up here. So Stennis is down there. We're going up to Huntsville. We go to Marshall Space Flight Center. There it is. Right there. In the flame duct from that S1 former Saturn 1 test stand. No, the stage is gone. They scrapped it. Don't ask. You're just going to get upset. There's a fly on my keyboard, and I'm going to get him. Ready? I'm going to get him with the banana. I don't think I got him. Yeah, they scrapped the that Saturn stage that was there. That was the original Saturn 1 test article. They scrapped it, and I got really annoyed. Yeah, if you go looking around here, there's a bunch of cool stuff. That's the Saturn 1 twin 2-cell test stand. This is where they, like I said, they put together Saturn 1s here and test fired them. What does NASA do at Glenn? Wind tunnels. NASA Glenn does a lot of wind tunnel and aero testing. Marshall is for dynamics, believe it or not. Spacecraft and stage dynamics. So a lot of the test stands, like there's the Saturn V dynamic test stand right there, which is basically a giant paint shaker for the rocket. It's designed to go through dynamic conditions. Fun fact: they also do SLS testing here, and ULA does Centaur testing at Huntsville as well. That's over here. So that's a Centaur test stand, SLS test stands right there, which is actually pretty cool. And then this bad boy right here, that's test stand, that's complex or stand 4670. The 4670 test stand was the first test stand to it was the first test stand to fire a Saturn V's first stage. You could see that they have a loading area right here, and they would roll the stage down here, turn it around, back it up, pick it up with the gigantic freaking cranes. If you notice, there's one crane here and one crane there. This stage would turn, pick up the back end of the booster, like so the engines would be actually facing that way. So they could just put it in. They didn't even need to turn it around. They could just leave it there. This thing grabs the front, right? This thing lifts up more than that thing, and it tilts the thing, and then that crane rotates it around and puts it in the stand. You can still see the service gantries for the S1C right there. Nowadays, it's not used for that. Nowadays, well, actually, it was used for shuttle engine test fires for a long time. But, actually, it's used for BE-4 test fires nowadays. Blue Origin leased this stand, and it actually saw use a couple weeks ago, after not seeing use for a really long time. Why does NASA have facilities in so many states? Political reasons. You spread it around, nothing will ever... If you spread it around, nobody will ever vote to cancel it. And then over here, you have the SLS hydrogen test stand right there. They built this, it's a big hydraulic press, believe it or not. And NASA blew up a hydrogen tank on the stand there on purpose. A little while ago, which is really cool. Yep. Pretty neat. There's all kinds of cool stuff just chilling back here. Take a look. All kind of dynamic testing articles. They're just sitting back there doing stuff. Believe it or not, so the reason why there's a Saturn V first stage test stand here and why there's a Saturn V first stage test stand down in Mississippi, not that far from here, the reason why is because, well, during the Apollo program, they needed to build a factory to build the dang rocket. That's Michoud Assembly. That's down here. That's down in Louisiana. But if they had waited until Michoud was finished, right? If they had waited until it was finished to making those, they wouldn't have made the deadline on time. So they started making Saturn V first stages for testing and for test firing purposes. They started making these at Marshall. The first Saturn V first stage ever produced was produced at Marshall Space Flight Center. And one time I did go on an infrastructure deep dive and we went and figured out where it was made because that was fun. You could basically trace it right back from test stand 4670. You can figure out exactly where it was, right? Just follow the heavy infrastructure, right? There it goes. There's the heavy infrastructure. There it is. There it is again, right? And you got a wide radius road there. You got a wider radius road right here. But if you look, that thing goes right here and curves in there. See? I'm just trying to make sure that that's exactly it. Okay, yep. Follow the radius, right? So let's go... Where am I? Yep, all right, cool. See? Right there. Wide radius for turning the stage. Look at the heavy-duty road. Heavy-duty road goes this way. It keeps going this way. And it gets to this facility right here. That's where they made the first Saturn V test stages, right here. First Saturn V S1Cs were made in this complex right here. Yep, because that's a facility that was big enough at the time, and then they built out Michoud and stuff, and then they moved them there. But if they were going to build them here, there's no access to the sea from here, right? So they needed a place to test it. There you go. That's what 4670 is for. It's static fired the first Saturn V first stage. So each facility isn't necessarily relegated to what I just said. So technically, Twisted, any NASA facility, if a project is proposed by NASA and it gets funded, you can put it at any facility. Like Human Landing System, HLS was supposed to be started. The Human Landing System for Artemis started at Johnson Space Center, and then in 2019 they moved it to Marshall. They moved it to Marshall so they could get Jim Bridenstine, the NASA administrator at the time, moved it to Marshall Space Flight Center to get the necessary funding for Artemis, and it worked. It worked. It's pretty smart. So they're dealing with HLS out there too. The people in Texas were pissed. The people at Johnson Space Center were pissed, but they're not going to not vote for funding either because it's Johnson Space Center for manned space flight. So good move by Jim. What was JPL's first project? What does JPL stand for, Flecken? Did F1 development tests happen at Stennis? Yeah. Yeah, they did. Japanese pen launchers. Yeah, okay. Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Fun fact, the Saturn V dynamic test stand right there is the tallest building in Alabama. Yep. Yep.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Just seems like an odd place to drop a nuclear thermal test facility, being so damn close to Cleveland. Not that Cleveland can get any more polluted than it already is. Ow. At the other end, on the top end of, Old Redstone Arsenal up here, there's the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, which is a really, really nice museum. I like using Google Earth and peeping on the stuff that they have just chilling back here. Frickin' looks like Kerbal Space Program back up in here. There's that's a Jupiter, Juno, Redstone, which are all the same family of rockets. There's a Navajo missile back here. Upper stage for first and second stage for a Titan II, and probably a dud nuclear payload right there. Actually, I think that Titan stage got moved down to Florida. It was used during the shuttle program too. Yep. Look it. So Twisted, you want to see a cool piece of kit? See that thing? Do you know what that is? It's a cockpit to a plane. Which plane? Anybody know? You're never going to get this one unless I've told you. No one knows this unless I tell them. B1B, B1, B1B. Nope. B1A. Oh yeah. B1A. It's not the bone. It's a B1A, which is really freaking cool. It's also sitting next to a Saturn V interstage and a Saturn 1B fairing. Yep. There's some cool stuff back there. How about those right there? Those two nacelles. S1C. Saturn V nacelles are just chilling out there. And an S2 transport cart. Apollo program. Collect the whole set. Look at that. Those are probably structural testing articles. They probably aren't flight articles, but it still really pisses me off seeing freaking plants grow inside of Apollo hardware, but it's okay. These pictures are old. They have moved all this stuff around, guys, so don't get too... I saw this once and I got really pissed off, and somebody in chat's like, hey, I work there. That stuff's not outside anymore. I swear these pictures are old. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Why haven't you done a VFT back there? COVID pretty much destroyed any VFTs for the foreseeable future, John. We don't have the context that we had previously. Yep. Because COVID really screwed museums, because museums don't operate on that high of a budget anyway, so all the museums shut down during COVID, and the staff left or whatever. Like, we don't have the same context that we did pre-COVID, Das and I. I mean, Das, we could probably get it. We could probably go get it done. But yeah, it really sucks, dude. Was Gemini the program that was supposed to be going to the moon, or are you stupid? No. The Gemini program was there to teach us how to get to the moon. Gemini, long story short, taught us how to rendezvous spacecraft in space, how to do EVAs, how to do docking, Yeah, that's kind of important. Back at Stennis, I'm sold that it's a drainage trench. If you look at the southernmost point of that L, there's a floodgate between it and the stream. Agreed. Does nuclear thermal actually release fission products? Or is the exhaust just hot hydrogen? Hot hydrogen. Yeah. Hot hydrogen. That's all. The hydrogen is irradiated, dude, but the thing is that the isotope of hydrogen that gets released out of there has a really, really, really short half-life. So, it's not too bad. With that being said, nuclear rockets generally don't really have high TWR, but what they lack in thrust to weight, they make up for in efficiency. So, yeah, they're really better suited for upper stages. Jade on our right there. Back then, jet and jet propulsion meant hot gas. Yeah, Aqualix. Yeah, jet propulsion. Yeah, exactly. They started doing stuff like that. That's right. So, also, fellas, right here. You know, we were talking about 4670 being the BE4's new test stand, right? And they have done hot fires on it. The reason why is because the BE4 production facility is down the street. And I'll tell you, that is not a small facility. And it is cranking out BE4s. They just don't tell us about it, which is a shame. I was wondering more from the standpoint of having nuclear thermal at Glen. I don't think they're doing the test firing at Glen, Twisted, if that's what you're asking. You should do a road trip going to a bunch of NASA museums. KSC, Stennis, Marshall. Novus, you'll get no argument from me. I'd love to do a road trip, like another Route 154 doing just that. That would make me very happy, EJ. We'll see, dude. We'll see. I mean, sky's the limit, dude. Well, it's not because rockets, but you get the idea. And then that's Redstone Arsenal. And Old Army Ballistic Missile Agency. Anything cool over here? Nope. Nope. Just give the R154 dev peeps a little notice. Yeah. Can you get tours of active NASA facilities? Some of them, dude. Yeah, some of them. Like, there's KSCVC at Kennedy Space Center, right? So it's not just Glenn. It's not just the Glenn Research Facility. There are facilities at Plumbrook too. Where the hell are they? What the hell is that? All right. Terranar also has its future home on the A2 test stand. Yep, that's right. Yep. Where is the Plumbrook? I guess, no, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it's not here. There's a huge vacuum test chamber at Plumbrook, dude. For vacuum testing spacecraft. It's freaking gigantic. You can't really miss it. It's a big concrete dome. Yeah, there's Draper, T-Man, of course. Hang on. NASA. Have you seen the construction at the shuttle landing facility? Yeah. A lot have bus tours. Yeah, so this is NASA Glenn. NASA Glenn does wind tunnel testing. A lot of wind tunnel work. That's what that, I think that's what that is. Maybe not. That's a wind tunnel. Absolutely. A big wind tunnel. Go to that. Oh, there it is. Yep. Spacecraft vacuum test chamber. That's Plumbrook, dude. Yeah, that's really freaking cool. Yeah, every single spacecraft was tested there that's flown except for the space shuttle. Yeah, Twisted, she's a beast, man. Yeah, Dragon was tested there. In fact, there's a really, really famous picture of,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
there's a really famous picture. I remember covering this for Space News when Dragon was being tested. They lowered the entire functional operating spacecraft into the vacuum test chamber. Yeah, I remember covering this picture and saying, oh man, Dragon 2 is almost here. This was back like 5 years ago. I don't know if they tested James Webb there, but yeah. Hey, Rojo, 8-month resub. And John with a 58-month resub. Yeah, Orion went in there too. That's right, Novus. Yep. Stupid question. So does NASA just own or lease a bunch of land in Florida? It's federal land. Yeah, federal land. Did we see a picture of Starlink in that thing? No. Plumbrook is just used for spacecraft testing. That's what this is. That's what that dome is. They're inside of that is the vacuum chamber. It is gigantic, dudes. Where? Yeah, there it is. Oh, actually, that's one of them. The dome is the other vacuum chamber. Look at the size of that freaking vacuum chamber. It's the largest vacuum test chamber in the world. That's right. Plumbrook is gigantic, man. It's kind of just in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure why it's just chilling down there and what the rest of all this stuff. Oh, never mind. I know exactly what all that is. That's a munitions depot. Okay. Or at least an old munitions depot. What else is over here? Anything else that's cool? I've never bothered to look. Wait, what's that? That's a Centaur stage. What is that doing? What are you doing? Why is that outside? That should not be outside. What's wrong with you? Ohio? What the frick, man? That shouldn't be outside. Put that inside. Imagine the energy released if the vacuum chamber imploded. Yeah, that would be explosive. Says the one with the coronet outside. Look, man, if I had the choice between putting a Centaur stage in my garage or putting the coronet in my garage, I'm choosing the Centaur. I'm sorry. It's a Centaur stage. How cool would it be to flex and be like, yeah, there's a Centaur stage right there. All right? Seriously. I mean, come on. Seriously. I mean, come on. Come on. Yeah, but you don't have a Centaur stage. Centaur stage, coronet, they both begin with a C, all right? Shut up. No storage? No storage? Don't do that again. There's a bunch of cool stuff out here. I never looked out here before. But yeah, that was definitely... See, the thing about that stage that we just saw, that's an old Centaur stage. Like, very old. That is like an Atlas II Centaur. It's a DEC. You can clearly see the two nozzles right there. No, I'm cleaning the garage right now. Look at Toledo's airport name. If SN-15 wasn't scrapped, would you rather put SN-15 or Booster 4 Ship 20 in a museum? 15. I know, Tessa. I saw it. It doesn't work. It's fine. I looked into it. It's all good. Toledo's airport. Isn't that DTW, or are we talking about over here? Lots of R&D local to that area. GE is over there. Okay. That makes sense. Is this Dwarfman? Is that it, or are we? Did I miss something? You used to live a mile from that airport. Is that the right airport, or am I? Damn, dude. That freight yard does what? Oh, we know what that does. Never mind. Guess the name does not have the name there. Oh. Toledo Express? Oh, Gene Kranz. Cool. Neato. That's cool, man. Did SpaceX already test Ship 26? So, I'll get to that in a second, Alex. Actually, I mean, we could talk about it now, but, freight yards. SpaceX tested Ship 26, and from what I can tell, I've been away for a week in New Mexico exploring astronomy and space stuff. Did I miss anything fun here? A couple of Starlink launches and the Psyche mission, dude. So, Ship 26, they put some residual pressure into it, and then they vented the tanks and fired the pre-burner at the same time. Booster 11's LOX tank is full right now, by the way. Oh, well, there you go. That's testing at Massey's, Thomas, right? I used to make deliveries to Toledo Express from NetJets. Oh, cool. So yeah, this is Cleveland's airport, and then NASA Glenn is over here, so you kind of can see some. There's usually some stuff chilling outside. Hey, baby. I see you like Globemasters. I like Globemasters 3. Yeah, I don't know if you guys could tell that this is the Glenn Research Center. I'm not sure if you can figure it out. I'm not really sure what gave it away. Where? If you want some trains, I chased 611 last weekend. Let me see. Oh, very nice. Very nice. That's cool, Joe. Meatball. It's meatball with some Pan Am lines through it, though, Novus. Like, it's got the Pan Am lines going through it. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of. You know what I mean? Like, I actually kind of like NASA's logo like that. That's kind of aesthetic as hell. That's really cool. I'm making some oven-fried buffalo chicken. Do you want some? No, I'm good, thanks. I had a smoothie. But yeah, Twisted, I don't think any NTR stuff is, like, I don't think they're test firing rockets here, to be honest with you. But whatever they're doing, they're air conditioning the hell out of it. Look at all the condensers. They're doing something. Oh yeah, they're doing something over here. There's a wind tunnel. They're doing something. Something is going on over here. NASA facilities are always cool to go and peep. Really cool. They got up to 45 mile an hour on an old Chesapeake and Ohio line. Oh, nice, Joe. There we go. Now we're talking. If you use the timeline feature on here, can we see a rocket on the pad in Florida? Yeah, that always happens. Yeah, easy peasy. I mean, I really like what's going on in this part of Ohio, like right in this area here. 1, because airport. 2, because airport with NASA facility. But 3, airport with NASA facility with engine plant, with internal combustion engine facility over here. And before you ask, yes, it's Cleveland. That's Cleveland Assembly. That's Ferd. Yeah, see, this is Cleveland engine plant. I don't know if you guys could tell. I mean, Ohio is the birthplace of aviation. Yeah, North Carolina. Okay, North Carolina. Okay, guys from Ohio. You know, the Wright brothers were from Ohio, but you notice how they went someplace else to go and test their new invention? They went everywhere but Ohio. In fact, they went all the way to the ocean and then tried to fly away from there. Yeah, there's a good reason for that. Ohio has the most amount of NASA astronauts. Do you know why? They're all trying to get away from Ohio. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's Cleveland Engine, which is really cool. There's a lot of good stuff that's happening right in this area here. I'm from Ohio, and I 100% agree. I mean, look at you. You're an aviator. You're trying to get away. Nah, Ohio's cool. The Wright-Patterson Museum, the Museum of the Air Force in Dayton is killer, man. That's not near here. That's over here. That museum that is probably the second or third best museum in the country. I'd say the Smithsonian is better. I'd say second. The Smithsonian, and then this one, and then Pima's the third best. I've never been to this place before, dude, and that really is annoying. Yeah, look at that. Look at what they have sitting outside. That's probably stuff that they have yet to put in just yet. Yeah, Forge, there you go. Yeah, they have a Titan 4 in there, Joe, believe it or not. Well, they got to build another freaking hangar. What, you don't have enough space? Got plenty of space. You know what mildly bothers me? The fact that this was blatantly a gigantic airport, but now it's not anymore. But there's still like planes just chilling. And like hangars and stuff, but yeah, all the runways are not in operation. That one has a museum on it. Have you ever seen what's in there? In these hangars? Yeah, of course. I've seen many pictures inside of these things. It's ridiculous. You see a missile silo? A missile silo. Yeah, the XB-70 is in there. I know.
Discovery, go at
I know
throttle
it is. I know it is. I know. I wish. There's a lot of stuff up in here. Wonder what all that's used for. Yeah, they're doing some kind of defense in there. Look at all that stuff. There are ICBMs on display in the round building between the hangars. Yeah, and the Titan 4 is on its side right here, and the XB-70 is over there. You saw C-17 take off from the runway just beyond it? Cool. Nick, 56-month resub. Yeah, that makes sense. What really doesn't make sense, though, is why is there a C-17 just parked over here? Is that, it's weird. It's weird that C-17s are in a museum. I don't know how to feel about that. What do you want me to see? I mean here. The third-party affiliates pet museum. This is Evergreen. What the heck happened to that 747?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Channel reads, oh hey, I'm going there this weekend. Why did you give it tentacles? What are you doing out there? Stop it. Stop. That runway is too short. Yeah, they have another 7.4. It's got no engines on it though. Evergreen is a gnarly museum. Honestly, that's a crazy good museum. The H4 Hercules is in there. The Spruce Goose is in there, which is pretty rad. What is this? A runway for ants? How can you get planes landed at this museum when they can't even land on the runway? It's got to be at least 3 times as big. Look how they installed the Titan 4, though. Okay. Yeah, Bill, exactly. Yep, those are old Titan SRBs. But also, Bay is over there. There's only one XB70 left, Ivan. There was 2. There was serial number 1 and serial number 2. Serial number 1 was the test article, and North American learned a bunch of things from serial number 1 and made number 2, and number 2 was the one that did the fastest flights. And then an F-104 crashed into it, and that was the end of that. What is that? Dread, you were supposed to get an actual shuttle, but Rule 8 on the West Coast happened. No, I don't believe you guys should get a shuttle. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think the Museum of the Air Force should have gotten a space shuttle at all. You frickers got cold feet. You pulled out of the program. You don't get a shuttle. Go away. You don't deserve one. No. No. Absolutely not. Oh, we're going to pull out of the program. When the going get tough, you all quit. Have fun with your crappy Titan booster. Boom. I said it. I just wanted to see a launch from Slick 6, man. I'm not saying we deserved it, just that was in the works. But it wasn't in the works, and I'm happy that it didn't happen. Dick. I'm sorry, I'm just messing around. Okay, they're moving the other one, and then I saw they moved the core over there. How did they integrate this on its side? I'm actually really interested now. We're involved here, because see, this thing was designed to be vertically integrated. It was designed to be put together vertically. And actually, the SRBs are designed to be attached after the core stage is integrated, and this is all supposed to happen horizontally. So I'm not 100% sure how they're going to get the core attached here. Frick your shuttle, nerd. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you enjoyed going slow. That's fine. Ilanov, how you doing? The X-37 flight test article is under there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to get that core attached here. Michigan's better. Just saying. Titan fanboys, refresh my memory. Was that's air started, wasn't it? The core stage on Titan 4 was air started. They launched the SRBs and then air started that core. Yeah, look at the vacuum optimization on the nozzles. It's an air start. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Forge. Oh, look at that's a really nice fake space shuttle you got back there. Great. That's lovely. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I was kind of wondering how they're going to horizontally integrate a vertically integrated rocket. This is like tilting a starship on its side. It's not a good idea. But yeah, cool. Very carefully, yeah. Speaking of that, this is there as well. Guys, I'm obligated to dump on Ohio. My wife's from Michigan. I have to. Like, I don't know what you want. Oh, Thomas, I saw this, dude. Yeah. Actually, subject change a little bit. Wright Patterson got this. Look. Hello. Hello. Now that's a fighter plane. Very nice. Oh, dude. That's nice. What is that? Forgive me, I haven't brushed up on this. Is that UAF livery? I think it's UAF livery, if I'm looking at that right. You know what we call those? Targets. Very based. Very based. Very based. SU-27s are pretty nice planes, but Twisted, you know, the whole broken clock, you know. Broken clock. What's the other one? I said, broken clock is right twice a day, the MiG-29. Yeah. Broken clock, right twice a day. Everything else is pretty garbo. Yeah, pretty bad, actually. What NASA facilities are in Michigan? Michigan doesn't have any NASA facilities, Wisp, but Michigan has a lot of defense, if you really want to know. Basically, Michigan has the department, so the Army's facility where they design tanks, actually. Yeah. It's here. It's the Detroit Arsenal in Warren. So you talk about saying that. Oh, nice. Dread. That's a really nice, real fake shuttle. Yep, this is the Detroit Arsenal. Army. The Army has a lot of presence in Michigan. So you know how like Marshall is testing for like all different types of rockets? That is the research for like tanks and stuff in Warren. Yeah, that's Michigan. I don't think has any NASA facilities to my knowledge, but they do have a lot of defense. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Look at the front. There's a lot of cool stuff, like a lot of the Army's tactical vehicles, like the Hemet, for instance. Hemet was designed there. The Abrams was designed there. Oh, hello. Is that a Stryker MGS? Oh, hello. Hey, how about we take our APC and put a tank gun on it? All right, cool. Sounds good, man. Did they design the MGS there? That's pretty cool. Oh, what is this, Novus? Let me take a look. And it was a dismal failure. I mean, yeah, but like that's the type of thing you put on it because because it's badass. Like, why does Cybertruck have almost not breakable windows? Because it's badass. All right. Why are we gonna put an M1A1 105 rifled cannon on a Stryker? Because it's badass. Obviously. Yeah, see, what is that? That's an MRAP right there. Bradley? I always forget the damn name of the 155 self-propelled. I forget the freaking name of the thing every time. What the hell is that thing called? The 155. The Paladin. That's the name of it. Why did they put an 88mm on a B-25? Because it's badass. Yeah, there you go. Because it's awesome. So yeah, MRAP, Bradley, Paladin, Hammett, Abrams, Stryker MGS. But yeah, I know that this is all defense. They do a bunch of research with tanks in here. And we've peeped on this before. There's a bunch of cool stuff on the pictures here. Like there's all kinds of cool stuff. Like, gee, what's that doing there? That's weird. Gee, I wonder why that's there. Huh. All right. What's that doing? What are those? What are those? Those are okay. Those aren't American, that's for sure. That's funny. You see all kinds of cool stuff just chilling back here. A couple of Bradleys, 7-tonner right there, Stryker. That SU-27 is ex-UAF, brought over in the late 2000s and registered by a company called Pride Aircraft. Then its trace went dark, and it's rumored to have spent the last decade-ish out of U.S. military foreign material exploitation, likely at Area 51. I'd believe that, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, peep on the damn tank facility. These pictures are all outdated, so I wouldn't worry too much. It's a bunch of Abrams, just 2 Abrams right there. Paladin over there. What else we got? Hammett, LMTV. I forget what those things are called. There's a Bradley, 2 Bradleys right there, and then my favorite, an M88. M88, man. That's an M88 A2? Maybe an A3? That's cool, like, neat. What is it? You got tanks and stuff? Yuri, there's too many links. We're drifting too far away.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Oh, that's a cool little museum. Oh yeah, you can see some stuff outside. Neat. Dude, I could do this all day. All right, Yuri, last one from you, and then I want to check a sheet for that Novus linked up. Why did you want me to see this? Why did you want me to see that, man? Oh, okay, Spoon, that's good. Oh, what the frick, dude? I don't want to see that. Why would you? Oh, God. My wallet just looked at that and went, no, please. Oh. Okay. Anyway, I'm good. Novus, where's that link? I think I may have X'd out of it by accident. Yeah, there it is. All right, we want to know what Michigan does. Let's see. What does Michigan do in terms of Nasser? Yes, jobs supported 785, economic output 142 million from 785 jobs. Yep, okay. 4.8 million state tax revenue. Moon to Mars campaign state impacts. 23. 5 million. Wow. Sample obligations. Leading state-based NASA business contractors. Global Knowledge Solutions, Byers, Amphionic, Michigan Aerospace, Thermo Analytics. Ah. Yeah, U of M. Look at... You get way more than state. That sucks. That sucks for state people, am I right? That sucks for you. This is something Michigan is good at. They did kind of screw the pooch, though, didn't they? The little brother, as usual. Anyway, yeah, that SU-27. I mean, I'm wondering if this thing is freaking airworthy at all. It doesn't look to be in that bad a condition, and it's definitely got its, it's definitely got the, I went to OSU, so you have to crap on UM. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Mr. Buckeye. I literally can't see anything here, man. What's that?
Left transition.
Why is there just a picture of a taxiway? What am I supposed to see here? I don't see anything. I don't see anything. It's just weird picture of an empty taxiway. I don't know why you'd link that, Forge. It's very strange. That's weird. That's weird. Can be from the consulate, right? This is weird. A little aerospace company in northern Michigan close to me makes engine parts for SLS. I'd believe that. Yeah. This has got to go down now. There two? I didn't see any planes. I didn't see any airplanes. Yeah. I didn't... what are you talking about? There's no planes there. Right? Like... Chlorophyll? More like borophyll. Right? No, those are two F-117s just doing their thing. The F-117s are supposedly retired, but also... I don't think the Air Force understands what that word means. It did once, Flykin, not anymore, though. I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing! I know nothing! What's that, Phil? What do you got? Oh, yeah, see? Like... No, we looked at this picture before, and all I saw was a really nice picture of a KC-135. That's a refueling plane. Yeah, just... I don't know why you wouldn't put it right here, because there's only one plane in this picture, you know? Is that video recent? Yeah, Ivan, they're flying them out there. Look. They're doing something with them. I have no idea. Looks like, somebody pulled the plug on the F-117 too early. It's almost like that plane has more to offer. I remember when they first said that that plane was going to get retired, and I'm like, what? Why? Wait. Huh? 2 mouse cursors. Yep. Sergeant Schultz. Yeah, Schultz. Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's... I know nothing! People don't know that. You should go watch Hogan's Heroes. Yeah, I guess they didn't get the memo. Actually, so, okay, what's Tonopah? And so that was a picture of Tonopah. So Tonopah is an Air Force base out in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. Like, when I say the middle of nowhere, I mean nowhere. Also, the U.S. federal government owns, like, 2/3 of Nevada, for the people that don't know. Seriously, you notice how there's, like, nothing between Las Vegas and Elko? There's nothing. Because that's the Nevada testing range. Yeah, like all of this. And fun fact, the test range goes over here to the Dugway Proving Grounds. That's where Osiris Rex landed, by the way. Yeah. Like, see all this? That's all federal government land. That land, the Nevada test range, is bigger than a lot of countries, by the way. So over here, Tonopah is this small village that skirts the Nevada testing site, and then there's the airport, which is over here. No, not that one. There's another one. It's out here somewhere. Ah, there it is. So when the F-117 was retired, the U.S. Air Force built this entire air base out here. And interred the entire F-117 fleet. They didn't scrap any of the planes. They didn't sell any of the planes. They have donated a couple of them to museums. But, like, that's, I think, 2. One of them is in Michigan at Willow Run, by the way. But they've been gutted because they didn't want, people knowing. So there's stuff about that plane that that's still, like, they don't want people figuring out. So when they retired him, they interred the entire fleet here. The entire serial production run of F-117s are sitting there. And that video was them taxiing down this taxiway right here. Like this, yeah. Yeah, it's a picture of them all. Yeah, when they get them ready for museum donations, they gut the entire plane because they don't want people knowing about them. Like, seriously, they gutted the entire thing and scraped all the RAM off of it, which is pretty funny. And then, yeah, here they are in storage, right there. They interred they built that whole airfield just to do this. They're in climate-controlled hangars, dudes. Oh, yeah. But I guess somebody decided down the road that we need those planes again for something, so you see them flying around from time to time. And the crazy thing is that, like, oh, super secretive. Like, I don't see any planes, blah, blah. No, like, this is super public. Like, people see them flying around all the time. People take pictures of them all the time. They're just like, man, all right, whatever. Yeah. It's really, really strange. Well, not strange. I'm sure, like I said, that's a Skunk Works plane. The F-117 is a Skunk Works special. So half blue. That was basically what the Skunk Works worked on after they stopped making SR-71s. Yeah. Skunk Works is plant number 42. Lockheed Martin plant 42 at Palmdale. When they wrapped up working on the SR-71, they started working on the F-117. The code name for the project was Half Blue. There's a book about that, about the Skunk Works and about developing Half Blue, which is awesome. It's a book by Ben Rich, who was the guy that ran the Skunk Works after Kelly Johnson. It's called Skunk Works by Ben Rich. Amazing book. Amazing. You learn there's so much cool stuff in there. What do the F-117s have on the F-22 or the F-35? Don't know. Does Pennsylvania have any NASA stuff? I don't know. I'd have to go figure it out. So apparently the F-117 still has something to offer, which is pretty crazy. Probably make good aggressor training. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe, Bluefair. Yeah. Guys, if I had to guess, and don't get me wrong, I have no idea. I don't bother trying to go look either, because that's how you get in trouble. They're probably doing flight testing, either aggressor training like what was said here. They're probably testing it for something new. Sometimes that's a thing. This video is real, by the way. What is this? What is this video and why is it real? Yeah, Josh, you got the link for the book. Headset audio went off. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's a lot of mouse cursors. Yeah, I know. I think my Windows is malfunctioning or something. All right, anyway. All right, so let's jump back into space news here. Let's see. This next post is, let's see. On October 5th, the FAA News sent U.S. Fish and Wildlife a final biological assessment, RE the water deluge system, after Starship IFT-1. Fish and Wildlife Services has up to 30 days to review it. Once complete, the formal consultation allows Fish and Wildlife Services 135 days to issue an amended biological opinion. Oh, Junie, it's the Air Zoo. I thought it was Willow Run. Excuse me, but yeah. Is a group of F-16s or is a group of F-117s called an operating system? Yeah, that would be cool. I'm fascinated at the extent of how American Abrams Bradleys are designed to keep the crew alive in dangerous situations compared to other nations. Yeah, yes. Erudite, I mean, we'll get back to that in a second. Well, yeah, you want your crew to survive. That's really important with military doctrine. That's why fighter planes have like ejector seats and stuff, because guess what, man? It takes a long time to take a bunch of 18-year-olds and teach them how to fight effectively in like a tank or something, right? That takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of investment, a lot of training. That's the most important part. That's the brains of the tank or fighter jet or whatever. That is a very expensive component. And guess what? If you can get those, you want to get those back if you can help it. Yeah. Yeah, that's why, dude. Survivability is huge. That's a big thing. That's why like MRAPs were made. So all those six things that were sitting out in front of Detroit, the one on the far right that looked like a truck almost, the MRAP was a vehicle that's designed to basically deflect IED blasts in the ground. If you type MRAP, right, MRAP into Google, the bottom of the chassis is shaped like this, so if an explosion hits, it just deflects it out to the side. Yeah. I don't think I need to say why they did that. Fighter jet ejection seats are only good for the U.S., though, as you all have weapon systems that aim for the cockpit. Hey, Thomas, all right, look. We're good at blowing stuff up. I'm not apologizing for it, okay? But yeah, crew survivability is huge. It's huge, dude. If like look what Nova said in chat. So yeah, I mean that's a really big deal. Like an Abrams tank has blowout panels, so if somebody hits the part of the tank called the magazine, if somebody hits the part of the tank that has all the ammunition that the tank fires, the tank's gonna blow up, right? No. Instead of blowing into the part where the people are, there are blowout panels. So if it gets hit and it blows up, it'll just blow up out of the tank. There's pieces of armor that are designed to fail if pressure comes behind them. They're designed to blow open and out the top instead of blowing into the tank and killing everyone inside. Pretty smart. The Soviet ones just eject the turret. Yeah. If you look at like a T-72, T-72s have an autoloader turret mechanism. So they don't have like many people. Well, I was about to say they don't have many people operating the turret, but that's not exactly true. If you look at like a T-72, once again, it's not a bad tank. T-72s are good tanks if it's 1972, but not a bad tank. But see how this is like hemispherical shaped? If this thing gets hit right on the seam right there, this thing blows up like a bottle rocket, and the explosion blows down into the crew compartment, which is bad for the people inside. And this thing becomes a gigantic bottle rocket, and the turret shoots about 500 feet up in the air. Not even kidding. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. Pretty uncool. That's not cool. Not cool if they get hit. Yeah, because they don't have like a blowout panel, because all the ammo is right up in the turret because it's designed to auto load, right? So if you hit it, it blows up the magazine and the turret shoots up in the air. I've seen footage from battlefields just around on the internet, and I think, if I'm remembering correctly, somebody found a T-72 turret in their apartment block on like the 7th floor. Oops. So, like, good stuff, like, I'm not gonna, good stuff like the Abrams, right? Actually, the Abrams is a great freaking tank. It's one of the best tanks in the world. It's right up there. I'd say, like, the Merkava, the Leopard 2, and the Abrams are the 3 best. So, like, see this the back part right there? That's the part that's designed to blow out. Instead of blowing into the tank and ejecting the turret, it blows the top off on purpose. Let's see if we can get a picture of one of these bad boys from the top. Abrams tanks are cool, man. They're really cool tanks. I've stood in one. Yeah. Really neat. You can see the blowout panel with some batteries attached to it. That's one of the blowouts right here. Right here. See that? Nice, Daryl. Nice conversation starter for your home. Yeah, right. It's got a, what is that? It looks like a 240 Bravo. The Deuce is on the top, and then that's this is well, technically, like, I think it's the M1A2 is what we use the most. If it's an A1, that's a 105 rifled cannon. The A2 uses a 120 millimeter smoothbore. Rifled cannon is actually redundant. It's a rifle. It's a gun barrel. It's a 105 millimeter gun, and then the M1A2 is a 120 millimeter smoothbore, which is, yeah, you can see the blowout panels right behind the turrets. See them right there? Why don't Soviet Russian tanks prioritize crew safely? Surely it's their best investment. Their military doctrine, the Soviet military doctrine, was different than the American one. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Hellness, you're making some progress. They don't fight the way that we fight, dude. There is a crooked in here. He's in the garage, though. There we go. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to like play games with that kind of stuff, dude, that's Hearts of Iron. Hearts of Iron, you design your tanks like that, dude, which is pretty cool. I love that game, man. Not many people on here like watching it, but anyway, going back to this here. Jimmy Crickets is back. He's in the garage, man. Quantity over quality? No. The Russians... I shouldn't say the Russians. The way that the Soviets looked at it, right, is you don't need a complicated system to shoot somebody. You really don't. A bunch of decently trained troops with good enough simple weapons will, hey, you throw enough people at the problem, it's going to get solved. Okay? It's kind of a fricked up way of looking at it, but look, man, if the capitalist imperialist scumbag has like 5 Abrams tanks and you have 150 T-72s, what are you going to do? They're not winning. That was the idea. The Soviets kind of did what the U.S. did during World War II. The Sherman tank isn't the best tank around. It's not the best. I still think the Panzer V is the best tank, or a King Tiger, but whatever. The Sherman tank wasn't the best tank in World War II, but it was good enough. It was good enough, and we could make a ton of them. And that's what made it a good tank, because, okay, one breaks, there's another one over there, grab some parts, fix it, done. That's kind of what the Soviet Union did through the Cold War with T-54s, T-55s, T-72s. That was the idea. Just make it doesn't have to be complicated. Make something and make a lot of it. Masses of expendable troops. Yeah, that and, communist governments don't really value individual lives. That's, collectivism versus individualism, which, that's not a conversation for this stream, but if you want to go look it up. Yeah, they basically just, you're not going to win if you outnumber them and everybody has a good enough weapon system. Yeah, we don't do that in the West. Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, we don't roll like that. It's cringe. We don't do that. Anyway, so the Fish and Wildlife Service has 135 days to issue an amended biological opinion about Starship. 135 days. Guys, I've always been of the opinion, and I've been saying this basically since this started to be a thing with Starship testing, and even before that, I've always been of the opinion that it's, bureaucracy is there to make sure you're not just going willy-nilly, all right? You don't want to launch a rocket and have it hit a plane, for instance, right? Like, there's reasons why you should take your time. The first time, somebody comes along doing a commercial space project that could potentially pollute, you'd want to take your time and you'd want to do it right so you can establish better regulatory framework for when the next guy tries to do it, right? However, with that being said, it's getting harder and harder to defend that position. I still don't understand why the Fish and Wildlife Service has a say in here. I mean, we kind of established that for airplanes, right, the FAA does go to the Fish and Wildlife Service for potential environmental impacts, and that's okay. I guess I can get that. But why? My big question with this still kind of stands. Why wasn't the Fish and Wildlife Service part of the programmatic environmental assessment that the FAA did for the first Starship launch? And why does their opinion matter so much now? I'm not asking these questions to try and make a point that the Fish and Wildlife Service or the FAA or anybody's useless. They're not. They're there for a good reason. I understand the reasons why they're there. Right? However, I read the programmatic environmental assessment back to front, the original one for IFT1. It's like 500 pages. It's ridiculous. There's no mention of the Fish and Wildlife Service in there. I'm pretty damn sure. At least not in like the capacity that we have here, doing biological assessments and amended biological opinions. All of this stuff is a reaction to the first launch, which kind of is like, okay, I mean, I guess, but where were you guys before? That's really my question. Why wasn't this a problem when we launched the first time? I'm still annoyed SpaceX didn't just build a retention pond to prevent avoiding this whole quagmire. Well, Akulux, it's quite possible that they couldn't because it encroaches on federal land or whatever. Because the water from the deluge system might flood into the wetlands, and after OFT-1, some of the concrete that was yeeted from the launch pad base damaged wildlife around the pad. Okay. Where was that assessment before? Wasn't the whole point of the programmatic assessment taking like 8 months was to take this stuff into account? Like, wasn't that the whole point? Spoiler alert, it was. Yeah, it was. I read the damn thing. So, it's just going to change every time now? There was no deluge plate before. Yeah, but not all of that was about just the deluge system, Phil. That's why I read it out loud. And some of the concrete damaged the wildlife around the pad. No one took this into account, that it could damage the pad. That's not true at all, because they took into account a catastrophic rud on the pad and the decibel levels that would encroach on wildlife if the entire stack exploded on the pad. Yeah, that was part of the report. So, once again, why is it all of a sudden a big deal? I understand stuff changes. I get it. I get that, but where were you guys before? That's really my question. There was an assessment, but not for the deluge system, and they didn't expect damage to the pad. Yeah, there was the size of the Beirut explosion, exactly. That's what I mean, dude. Like, they took into account a full rut on the pad. You're telling me that the thing throws a bunch of chunks of concrete around when your programmatic assessment took into account the entire freaking complex going up? And you're saying you learned something new? Like, give me a freaking break, dude. What? Come on. Like, that's a little sus. But also at the same time, I understand pad retention systems, discharging the water into the wetlands, which is funny because, water going into wetlands, it's already wet. I understand it's more complicated than that. That was a joke. Ha 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 ha. Okay. You know what gets at me the most? The new parking lot will have a much bigger impact, and they're probably in the clear for it, no problem. Yeah, the programmatic environmental assessment was supposed to take into account absolute worst case scenarios, and you're telling me they didn't realize that there could be some ejecta from a rocket launch? Okay. So, if we want to play devil's advocate here, in the opposite, it sounds like the Fish and Wildlife Service does have some jurisdiction here, but they weren't interested until they saw the destruction and went, "Oh crap, that could be our fault." Either that or the FAA can't handle the bandwidth, which was what was suggested in that Ars article that we read the other day, and they deferred the biological assessment and amended biological opinion to the Fish and Wildlife Service, which I get that. I understand that. That makes perfect sense. But also, the whole point of Space Policy Directive 3 was to make a one-stop shop and not have to go through multiple alphabet agencies to get certification for commercial launch sites and commercial launching, so this doesn't happen. See what I'm saying? They're just trolling with SpaceX at this point. The Army Corps of Engineers screwed stuff for SpaceX when they didn't let them expand the pad and build a retention pond for the water they'll use. Exactly. Aqualex, you hear that? They wouldn't let him build it because it was going to affect the environment. So SpaceX said, all right, we'll launch it anyway. And they said, whoa, your rocket launch affected the environment. See what I'm saying? Like, this is getting a little... The U.S. Fish and Wildlife did issue a document for the PEA under biological opinion. It's there? Dude, I'm telling you, man. Maybe I just wasn't looking for it, Novus, but I don't really remember doing that. Go away. The Fish and Wildlife Service was who held up the PEA in the first place. Interesting. I could have sworn I didn't remember reading that. But hey, whatever. I read the PEA late at night, so maybe I'm wrong. But either way, I mean, once again, it's getting harder and harder to be like, okay, I'm kind of running out of patience. But also at the same time, you know, maybe don't blow up the pad when the rocket launches, right? But also at the same time, 135 days isn't that long. Not that long to wait, It's on that page, Control F, biological opinion. Let me see. Oh, it's another 545-page document. Yeah, okay. Wait, isn't this what we read? Hold on. Does this have, the sound wave propagation and stuff? Yeah. This is what we read. Oh yeah, it is. I guess it is in there. Okay. But yeah, I mean, okay, so all right, that explains that. I mean, like I said, this is what I mean when I say I don't really understand, because I'm trying to figure stuff out, right? That's fair. What, if that's what we've read right there. If that's taking into account the whole pad blowing up, why is shooting some water that big of a deal? Like, they said, okay, if the pad blows up, this is the impact. It's not going to be what we want, but you're good. Oh, we threw some rocks into the habitat. No, stop everything. Like, what do we... I don't understand how, didn't we kind of cover this the first time? That's always been my question. What did you, why is it different? Yeah, dude, I freaking read this whole freaking stupid thing. Yep. Because the explosion happens once and the deluge will happen a lot of times every launch. That's fair. Fair point. Yeah, dude, I remember reading through all this. Yeah, see? Blast area. See what I'm talking about? Wow, that plan didn't age very well. Well, that's good to know, Novus. I mean, okay, so it's been a while since I've read the PEA, but the point still stands, I think, with, why is it a big deal now? Why is it different? But I guess, like I said, it's what I said at the beginning. It pays to do your due diligence now. It's just, yeah, it just kind of sucks. Sucks waiting. But I know this stuff takes time. Yeah, I got you, Jimmy. Yep. Well, Drainman, that's what I said originally, and that's why I said wait for the PEA, because it's better to get this right, because if they do their due diligence the first time around with the PEA and it's good enough, then we're going to be fine. But yet here we are. Will you cover the Israel crew vehicle test on Friday? I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe. Them being sus about runoff is a cop-out to you because it rains in Boca a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, dude. Like, why is it different? I understand the water, and I understand the deluge. But that stuff is... not water deluge, but everything else is everything else is covered in that damn report, dude. Yeah, so Spartan, maybe. Either way, well, 135 days, I suppose, on the flip side of everything, is not that long of a time to wait. It's just, yeah, that means that IFT2 could be January of next year. It's possible. I'm kind of getting a little bit ants in the pants, though, because SpaceX needs to test this thing so they can make the lander so we can land in 2025 or early 2026. Do that whole moon landing thing. You're not going to get the lander very far if we can't launch. And SpaceX needs to start launching this thing sooner rather than later. It is a very long lead item in the Artemis program. That's why I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. Come on. Maybe the runoff is the natural runoff from rain versus non-natural runoff from Starbase. Yeah, possible. I haven't kept up with Boca too much. Haven't SpaceX changed plans pretty drastically for the ground infrastructure with the deluge? Wouldn't it make sense that the government agencies need to check what they've come up with? You know what, Novus? Let's answer that question right now. Hey, Stellar, 4-month resub. Thanks, man. Let's answer that question right now. How about this? Let's answer this question right now. Starship Super Heavy would launch from the vehicle launch area. During a launch, the exhaust plume would surround the launch pad and surrounding areas. The plume would extend radially from the center of pad approximately 0.6 miles until reaching ambient pressure. This would occur shortly after launch and would dissipate within minutes. The highest heat levels are expected to occur directly around the launch mount and begin to dissipate within 300 feet, well within the limits of the VLA, vehicle launch area. It's vehicle or vertical, I forget. Temperature of the plume outside of the VLA is not expected to exceed 300 degrees. The plume would appear clear and consist of heat and steam if a water deluge system is used. SpaceX is also considering whether deluge water would discharge on the plume during a launch or test. There you go. But its use is a possibility under the proposed action. If water were used, most of the water would be vaporized. If treatment or retention of stormwater or wastewater is required, water would be contained in retention ponds adjacent to the launch mount. Figure 2.6. The exact number, location, and size of the retention ponds within the VLA would be determined based off quantities of deluge water and final site plans. However, Figure 2.6 represents SpaceX's current understanding of stormwater and wastewater needs. SpaceX would develop appropriate sampling protocols and water criteria in coordination with TCEQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. SpaceX would remove water containing contaminants that exceed the water quality criteria and haul it to an approved industrial wastewater treatment facility nearby. SpaceX would pump all other water not containing prohibited chemicals back into the water storage tanks at the VLA. If the surface water discharge were required, SpaceX would apply for a TCEQ, Texas Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, permit prior to the discharge event. All water, including deluge and potable water, would be either delivered by truck or withdrawn from existing or new wells located adjacent to the pad. From what I'm reading here, the Fish and Wildlife Service doesn't have anything to do with this. It's TCEQ. Let's read more. During a Starship Super Heavy orbital launch, up to 350,000 gallons of deluge water could be used. Because SpaceX uses liquid oxygen and liquid methane propellants, deluge water following the launch would be converted to steam with insignificant amounts of hazardous materials that would degrade very quickly. The steam is expected to generate negligible impacts on surface water quality or vegetation and habitats near the VLA, because of the small volume of water expected to condense from the exhaust cloud. Water that is not vaporized or expelled would be contained in retention basins adjacent to the launch pad. This water would then be sampled and analyzed to determine if the water contained controlled contaminants at levels that exceed TCEQ water quality standards. Water containing contaminants that exceed the water criteria would be removed and hauled to an appropriate wastewater treatment facility. Even though the launch pad is located next to an unvegetated flat that provides habitat for the piping plover, no deluge water would reach the critical habitat during a launch. Well, there's a small potential for water vapor to reach this unvegetated area. The amount of water vapor from a maximum of 5 orbital launches per year is not expected to alter the habitat and cause vegetation to grow on the unvegetated flat and adversely modify the piping plover critical habitat. All right, let's read on. That's the same text. Same text again. Piping plover critical habitat, red knot proposed critical habitat. Piping plovers and red knots do not nest within the action area and so nesting would not be impacted. The heat plume generated by Raptor engines would cause high temperatures to radiate from the launch pad. Temperatures would be temporary and not expected to cause permanent damage to the unvegetated flats by using piping plovers and red knots. However, piping plovers or red knots could be exposed directly to the exhaust plume and could be burned by hot gas, but would need to be flying through the path of the exhaust plume at the time of ignition. It is also anticipated that the birds would startle and fly away by the noise of the engines. Yep. At this time, no deluge water is being proposed. Therefore, an evaporative cloud is not anticipated that could result in the potential conversion of wind tidal flats associated with the piping plover critical habitat unit TX1 and the red knot proposed critical habitat TX11. In the event of a fire, SpaceX personnel will immediately be in communication with the Refuge Fire Management Office to place U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services on standby so refugee fire crews can prepare strategies to control and extinguish the fire. SpaceX personnel at the site and the standard firefighting vehicles will not attempt to enter Texas Parks and Wildlife Division, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service manage land to control a wildfire without coordination from the refuge. Tidal flats will be protected from trampling or driving during a fire response. SpaceX will also take all reasonable precautions to ensure deluge water or firefighting waters do not enter the tidal flats. Guys, the only thing I got is that they changed the proposal, but it seems... The only thing I got is that they changed the proposal to add the pad deluge system because it looks like the original PEA said that they weren't going to use it. However, that programmatic environmental assessment also said that if they did use a deluge system, up to 350,000 gallons is what would be needed, and it would be minimally invasive to the tidal flats, piping plover, and red knot critical habitats. How is that different? This right here is what I'm getting at. Well, how is that different? I don't understand. What changed? See what I'm saying? But the flip side of that is that now that they are proposing a deluge system, even though they took into account the basics of the deluge system, now that they have a deluge system, they have to do an assessment on that, even though they already said it was good. But now that they have an actual one in the proposal, you have to analyze that too. That's what is that? Am I getting it? Does that sound right? Maybe the design of the deluge system changed since the PEA. Well, the PEA just basically says that any deluge system, as long as you have the right retention ponds, and as long as you're discharging up to 350,000 gallons of water, it will be minimally invasive to the tidal flats in terms of steam and water being discharged. No, you don't say good to go and then oops, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, Helfish, that's what I'm getting at. So the programmatic environmental assessment was not good enough because it didn't have SpaceX's proposal for a pad deluge system that didn't exist. But it also had provisions in the programmatic environmental assessment that you could have a pad deluge system and that it would be okay as long as you comply with TCEQ, Texas Quality or Commission on Environmental Quality. TCEQ has said nothing in terms of SpaceX being invasive to species. So what the frick's going on? Am I understanding that right? Like, did I get that right? I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff to go through. Sounds like somebody needs to be fired because it's impossible to get fired from a government job. Yeah, Jimmy, that's what I would believe. I don't believe that there's some crazy conspiracy to slow down SpaceX. What I do believe is that someone didn't do their due diligence with the original programmatic environmental assessment. They didn't take into account that the pad could get damaged during a liftoff and shoot chunks of concrete everywhere. But on the flip side of that, the programmatic environmental assessment takes into account an entire pad run. They take into account the entirety of Starship blowing up on the pad in the case of a disaster scenario, and like the tank farms blowing up too. How can you environmentally assess that and not figure that it would blow concrete out of, like, up in the air if the entire pad exploded? Am I missing something? Yeah, exactly. Almost 6 was bad. That almost just permanently destroyed Pad 40, dude. That's what I'm getting at, man. Like, it doesn't... I don't understand. And this has always been my thing. And forgive me, I couldn't say it exactly right. And I forgot that the Fish and Wildlife Service is mentioned like 150 times inside of the PEA. I pulled that one out of my tail. I apologize. But yeah, the deluge system stuff doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, but then again, like, you know, okay, so say somebody just kind of was like, oh crap, we need to figure this out. I need to cover my tail. Oh yeah, we need to do another biological opinion on the new proposed system. Oh yeah. Hey, you know what? Get it done. 135 days is not that long of a time. It's annoying, but it's not that long of a time. My guess would be that nobody thought enough pressure would get under the slabs to rip them up. I guess. Do you know the volume of water that the current deluge system is using? I don't know, Zeppelin, but I'm going to go ahead and... I don't think it's that much of a stretch to think that they're compliant. 350,000 gallons is probably an overestimate if I'm thinking about this right. It's 154. It's a 154 scenario, you remember? We questioned the lack of diverter. There's no way they didn't. Yeah, man. What is the environmental risk of me eating an entire bag of corn dogs today? I don't know, Nathan. Here, I need 135 days to figure that out. I need to do a biological assessment. But, like I said, I like giving bureaucrats crap just as much as the next guy, fellas, but there is some ambiguity here in the original PEA to kind of justify what the Fish and Wildlife Service is saying, which is, that kind of sucks. But also, there's always some, ambiguity in the nomenclature. You can always make it more, oh, we need to do another assessment. You can do that. You could just keep doing that, which is, And to be fair, bureaucrats usually deserve it. Yep. SpaceX is doing their job. There shouldn't be a problem. There shouldn't be a problem. They don't want this agency on their back anyway. Cubone, that's always been what I've said. That's what I've said in the past, dude. Like, I've said in the past that, like, look, SpaceX is obviously compliant. If they weren't compliant, they wouldn't let them do what they're doing right now. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds in that regard. And they've never done that with the FAA. Where they strayed that one time with launching one of the Starships on a test flight was that said kind of ambiguity in launch licensing. And that's why the FAA said, no, we need a launch license. Blah, blah, blah. And that started this whole programmatic environmental assessment stuff. Because they were like, SpaceX said, we're clear to launch from here per our launch license. And they said, well, no, you're not clear to launch per your launch license because that launch license is for smaller rockets. And SpaceX went and looked at the launch license and said, I mean, I guess it's for Falcon 9, but there's not... Falcon 9 and Starship they're rockets. It's going to be loud. The Falcon 9 launch license is good enough. And the FAA said, no, it's not. Falcon 9 isn't Starship. And that's what started the whole PEA thing in the first place. They need to convince the DoD that this is affecting defense payloads somehow. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just... I gotta be careful with this because I want them to launch it right now. But I also understand that you gotta be patient with this stuff, With that being said, this whole kind of legal ambiguity in the programmatic environmental assessment that we just read about deluge systems kind of leaves it open on purpose. Or maybe not on purpose. I don't know. It seems like that was a discussion, and that SpaceX could be using a pad deluge in the future. That's a programmatic environmental assessment from 2021. It seems like they left it open to say, oh yeah, if they did use it, it would be okay. But I guess it's not okay because now we have this biological opinion here. The shuttle sound suppression system used 300,000 gallons in 6.6 seconds, and SpaceX, I think, is more without the official numbers. It's just a guess. Yeah, possibly, but yeah, okay. So at least we have some context to it, guys. There's some kind of ness about the pad deluge systems in the original PEA, but the Fish and Wildlife Service did have an assessment there, but even then, the Fish and Wildlife Service in the original PEA took into account that SpaceX could have a deluge system, right? And then said it'd be fine. And then now it's not fine. I guess it's because they didn't build the proper retention systems or something. So Starship could launch in 30 days. It could launch in 160 days. It's anywhere in between there. Watch them take all 135 days to say nothing's changed. Man, if that happens, I'm going to be a little bit upset, dude. But hey, at least we know now. Aqualex, I can't help but think, when Starship 2 launches, how do we know that some other three-letter agency is not going to pop up and say, oh, wait a minute. No, you can't do that. How do we know that that's not going to happen? I guess we don't, right? My whole reasoning for taking the time with the programmatic environmental assessment is because the programmatic environmental assessment was supposed to cover all your bases, and it clearly didn't, which is very annoying. But, hey, whatever. Let's just get it done. 135 days is not that big of a deal comparatively to what we'll get if Starship starts flying. I've heard November 1st is the launch. Source NSF stream that broadcast earlier today. Yeah. $135 days is what? That's the amount of time that the Fish and Wildlife Service has to issue an amended biological opinion. But yeah, SpaceX can't launch Starship until they figure out... I'm going to say it in a way that's going to sound messed up. But I understand. It makes more sense now because I thought the PA was more comprehensive than that, but it's not. The Fish and Wildlife Service has to make sure that there's not any effects of SpaceX spraying water into wetlands. Water into wetlands. You don't want the wetlands getting too wet. Wetlands by the ocean, might I add. Specifically fresh water into a salty marsh. Well, Erebor, it's an estuary from the Rio Grande, a freshwater river. Did you hear about the hydrazine in Real brand bottled water? No, really, Ken? That's terrible. But once again, I've never been against doing environmental assessments and stuff, guys. Environmental assessments are there for more reasons than to just appease hippies and stuff, right? Environmental assessments are there to make sure you don't build a structure on a place where it'll fall into the swamp, or places that are going to get hit by hurricanes, etc., etc. They're there to make sure that what you build, whatever you do build there, is going to last and it's going to be minimally invasive to the environment, and the environment's going to be minimally invasive to it. That last part's important. So I get it. I understand. Just also, please have the lander ready in time. Also, how pure is the water after fuel burns through it? There's no fuel burning through the water, Yukumin. They're shooting water at hot gas. It's not about the fuel. It's about absorbing heat. The heat gets transferred from the combustion byproduct to the water, and that makes steam. It's the energy transfer that we're talking about here. Was there any mention of impact of drawing water from the water table? No, traveling. I didn't see anything there. But then again, I just looked through the. I looked through the PEA. I looked through the PEA and just searched for pad deluge. Yeah, caveman, maybe. But it's never 100% pure burn. It's never 100% pure burn, and at the numbers we are talking, there's a lot of unburnt fuel. No, there isn't. It's methylox. What are you talking about? Are you just making stuff up? So Super Heavy has methylox. The only thing that's coming out of that are little bits of carbon. And maybe a little bit of oxidizer, so you get some CO2. CO2 doesn't combine with water. That doesn't work that way. You can't have H2O and CO2. They don't. Like in these conditions, water can absorb CO2. It can, but not with this. It's the heat transfer. In certain conditions, yes, water can absorb CO2, but not this. Like, I mean, maybe it's just a tiny bit, but dude, the amount that you're thinking is, dude, even the Fish and Wildlife Service in the PEA, that's what we just looked through, said it wouldn't be a problem. They said it would be minimal amounts. Like, it's not going to be like spewing out carbon sludge into the wetlands, man. Anyway, I guess we just have to wait. Hopefully the Fish and Wildlife Service is cool, and they get it done, and they get it done right. It would suck if it took till 2024, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see. That's an angle I haven't thought of. I guess, man, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what they say. We're just going to have to wait. You know, even I get antsy in my pantsy about this from time to time. But yeah, man, it's just... Just gotta wait, dudes. Just gotta wait. Anyway, let's see. What else do we have here? Anything else that I got chilling around here? Oh, actually, speaking of that, here. Yeah, here. I got something. You guys will like this. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic executive urged senators to improve the FAA. There was a meeting today, basically from the Senate subcommittee, from people from a lot of commercial launch providers, like what's said in the article here, about going to the FAA and saying that the FAA needs a huge budget increase because they can't handle all the launch licenses.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, I think what Poison said is right. Hey, Kakin, 37 months. Wow, time flies. The water thing reminds me that I worked at an airport while in California. The wildlife people wouldn't let you walk on the grass, but they cut it with big tractors every week. Yep. Okay. The Senate Subcommittee on Space and Science heard from a trio representative from SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic, as well as a pair of industry experts. Bill Gerstenmaier, yeah, Vice President of Build and Flight Reliability, emphasized that the FAA's Commercial Space Office needs at least twice the resources that they have today for licensing rocket launches. While he acknowledged the FAA is critical to enabling safe space transportation, Gerstenmaier added that the industry is at a breaking point. The FAA has neither the resources nor the flexibility to implement regulatory obligations. Although the hearing largely focused on the FAA's role in the space industry, spokespeople for the Senate committee and the FAA confirmed that the regulator was not invited. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Although the hearing largely focused on the FAA's role in the space industry, spokespeople for the Senate committee and the FAA confirmed that the regulator was not invited to testify. Well, that... Can I read that one more time just to be sure? Although the hearing largely focused on the FAA's role in the space industry, spokespeople for the Senate committee and the FAA confirmed that the regulator was not invited to testify. Okay. Okay. Keeping pace with industry demand is a priority and is important for several reasons, including meeting our national security and civil exploration needs. We're working diligently to attract, hire, and retain additional staff, an FAA spokesperson told CNBC in a statement. See, this is the other thing, guys. Bureaucracy does take time, but that article from ours, that's why I shared it the other day for Space News. It's very poignant. There's no grand conspiracy to slow down SpaceX. SpaceX is flooding the FAA with launch licenses because they want to launch more. And the Falcon 9 launches for all these Starlink launches are interfering with Starship launch license, which is why that right there is the biggest reason why I think the Fish and Wildlife Services is involved, because the FAA is busy. But also, that might just be the right way to do it, and the FAA thing could be completely separate from it. It could be either one. Interestingly enough. The other four panelists' testimonies largely echoed SpaceX's viewpoint on the need to bolster the FAA's rankings. Phil Joyce, Blue Origin's Senior Vice President of New Shepard, said the FAA is struggling to keep pace with the industry and needs more funding to deal with the increase in launches. Likewise, industry expert Karen Shinnework, a former leader at SpaceX and Relativity Space, said that the FAA's recent changes have yet to streamline licensing reviews and instead have proven more cumbersome and costly. Oh, crap. Wayne Monteith, a retired Air Force Brigadier General who also led the FAA Space Office, said that Congress should consider consolidating space regulations. I believe a more efficient one-stop shop approach to authorizing and licensing space activities is necessary. This is what they tried to do 5 years ago. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Well, there's your answer. I guess they didn't like the idea of putting everything under the FAA all of a sudden, because that Air Force General, Wayne Monteith, his testimony seems to suggest that multiple alphabet agencies are now once again involved in the launch licensing process, which is great. Where are your legs? I'm trying to blend in, okay? I'm trying to blend in. This does not make them look very good at all, dude. I don't know, man. I know that stuff's always more complicated than it seems. I understand that part, but jeez, man. That's a kick in the face. He has F-117 legs. Yeah. Actually, dude, these OCP cargos are super comfortable and they're tough. It's tough pants. I use these like when I'm working in the garage and working on cars, because I was cleaning the garage today before work. This stuff is really, really thick material. So like, yeah, you can get it dirty and stuff and clean it and then it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I could probably just go buy some Carhartt pants, but Army surplus is cheaper, so oops. Yeah, yeah. I saw it when you said it before, but yeah, brain works faster than mouth. Yeah, Hellfish, yeah, well. What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? Sucks. Purge it and hire new. Yep. Yeah, it's not really how that works, right? Like, we know that, but also. Anyway. speaking of Starship stuff here, let's finish up with this. This was at the IAC. NASA released a new paper about human landing systems and landers and stuff. I'm kind of, I want to sift through this. It's only 7 pages, but I want to sift through it and see if there's anything cool in here. Short Frolic Gravitas has departed for Starlink 624. Yep. So when do you think things will start to pick up on Starship front at 39A? I don't know. I don't think even SpaceX knows. It really depends. Yeah, maybe, Hellfish, maybe. You know, not a lot of people out there like lobbying, but the interesting thing about this is that, you know, we have some people, if you're a spaceflight fan, we have some balls in our court, so to speak, here that have a lot of cash, like Blue Origin and SpaceX. SpaceX and Blue do a lot of lobbying, guys, and that's kind of how this stuff gets done. You gotta grease the wheels a little bit, but fortunately that's in our court, and that's good for us as spaceflight fans in this regard, so there's that. I mean, say what you will about it. Let's see. Starship Human Landing System Artemis 3 concept of operations. The wingless Starship is a storage depot. That's what 26 is, dude. Yeah. Jack actually had a picture of it in there. That's why Ship 26, this is from Lab Padre. I'll only show it for a quick second. But that's why Ship 26, why I thought this pre-burner test, well, during a depress event, is propellant transfer. I think they're going to create ullage gases and pump the ullage gases into another Starship. Like a Starship fueler that comes up here. This thing turns on. It vents, right? It vents the ullage gases into the tanks of the other thing. And then the umbilical valves are open. And they'll basically compress like a tanker Starship. They'll put ullage propellants or ullage gases into a tanker Starship. And that'll feed the fuel lines. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's what happened. I think that's what we saw here with this thing on. You know, my head's in the way. With the pre-burner test while depressing today. Yeah, Ship 26. They did a pre-burner. You could tell because of the fire. But they did it while the system was depressurizing. And I kind of theorized at the time that that's probably how they're going to get the fuel to move around. They're going to use the pre-burner as a fuel pump. Maybe. But this does seem to kind of corroborate that, I guess. How will it pump? You'll pump ullage gases into the tanks of the other starships using the pre-burners from the depot ship force. And pumping ullage gases will it'll try to compress the propellants, and the propellants will flow back through the umbilical. Remember how I said the Starship's umbilical looks like a docking port almost? There you go. It was only a single engine and now multiple engines. Maybe that's all you need. Artemis 5 concept of operations. Artemis 5 is going to use SLD, huh? Does the umbilical have the ullage gas lines? Yeah, why wouldn't it? Okay, so answer me this, Aqualex. It has to. How would they be able to do wet dress rehearsals and static fires if it didn't? Right? Yeah, I mean, you could let the propellant boil off inside of the tank, but there's the methane scavenger that's already built into the system. If there's the scavenging system, the recondenser, yeah, there absolutely is. Sure. There's pneumatics, absolutely. Artemis 5 is set for 2029. Oh. In addition to design and development work, the contract includes 1 uncrewed demonstration missions to the lunar surface before a crewed demonstration mission for Artemis 5 in 2029. Okay, I don't want to read that anymore. I don't want to read that anymore. This basically just outlines the 2 lunar landing systems that they have, HLS and then SLD. HLS is Starship, SLD is the national team. All right. Guys, we're getting up on 10 o'clock. That's about a good 10 hours of streaming. I'm trying to keep the streams basically to 10 hours right now. I'm trying not to go over, but trying to make sure you guys get the content that you want. So hopefully we covered all the bases. There is ISRO stuff too. India is actually doing an integrated. I think they're doing a pad abort test for their Gaganyang crew capsule, which is pretty sweet. And they also announced plans in the 2030s to go to the moon and send a rover to Mars and stuff, which is pretty rad. That's cool. National team is going to end up with the first landing, aren't they? I don't know. It really depends if the piping plovers want SpaceX to launch or not. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I think we'll pack up shop here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow, let's see, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Thursday. In better news, the A2 core is in final integration. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I'm not even sure piping plovers are real. Thursday. I got the gantry working, but a big wave ruined it. Oof. Oof. Tomorrow is Friday in California. Wait, what? No, today it's Wednesday. Thursday. So yeah, I think what do we want to do? We want to play Kerbal tomorrow? Let's do that. We can play I don't know, VTOL stuff. Maybe we'll save the VTOL stuff for Friday. Maybe we'll play something else. I don't know. Either way, I'll be here at noontime. Maybe we can get. Would you guys want another Stormworks stream? You let me know. Timberborn? Man, I haven't played Timberborn in forever. You did say you'd play Starfield. I don't ever remember saying that. I think Tessa said that. I think you're just hearing what you want to hear. You know what? I think I'm gonna play Hearts tomorrow. Maybe Kerbal and some space news. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Guys, let's go see what Etel's up to. He's playing Hearts right now. I kind of want to go see. I love watching Hearts. Hearts of Iron's a tough game to understand, but if you know what's going on, it's really, really, really fun. So let's go see what Etel's up to. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow at noontime. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, okay? And thank you.